Joining me now, Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat from New York. Thank you for being here, Congressman.
Thank you for having me, Rev.
You know, are your Republican colleagues slowly coming to realize that they were wrong about this law?
Well, it's still not clear to me that they get it, Reverend Sharpton. There's a serial obsession that I've witnessed with the Affordable Care Act that is almost clinical in nature. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, but expecting a different result. Yet this is a group that for more than 50 times has attempted to delay, destroy, or defund the Affordable Care Act, understanding that anything they did in the House of Representatives was dead on arrival in the Senate, and that President Obama would never sign it into law. Yet they continue to engage in this reckless, irresponsible behavior.
They did it anyway. In fact, the president hit back at the 50 repeal votes you're referring to that the GOP held to block the health care law from taking effect. Watch this, Congressman.
The 50 or so votes Republicans have taken to repeal this law could have been 50 votes to create jobs by investing in things like infrastructure or innovation, or 50 votes to make it easier for middle-class families to send their kids to college, or 50 votes to raise the minimum wage or restore unemployment insurance that they let expire for folks working hard to find a new job. Point is, the repeal debate is and should be over.
I mean, when you think about it, as the president spoke and you referred to tonight, 50 votes that they could have been doing other things, the energy to keep doing that, when you know it's not going anywhere because it's not going to get past the Senate. That is politically insane.
Absolutely, but it's a political issue, presumably designed to excite their base, but one that's really just based on lies and misrepresentations. And they haven't offered a single alternative for the American people in terms of providing health care to the tens of millions of people who will otherwise be uninsured, in terms of keeping young people on their parents' health care plans from the age of 21, which has been moved to the age of 26, dealing with pre-existing conditions, closing the Medicare Part D donut hole. They have not offered a single alternative. But this is a group that is so obsessed with the Affordable Care Act and perhaps President Obama that they shut down the entire government for 16 days based on that obsession and cost the American people $24 billion in terms of lost economic productivity. So the president is right. They've wasted a lot of time and a lot of treasure of the American people as opposed to doing things designed to turn the economy around.
The president also said, though, that Democrats ought to run on this year. We've seen earlier where some Democrats seem to be leaning away. What is going on? Are Democrats going to really, now with 8 million enrollees, see that this is what you should be running on and advocating for rather than running away from it?
Well, I certainly hope and expect that that'll be the case. Things have turned around dramatically. There was a minor blip that occurred in October related to the website. But the remixed version of the Affordable Care Act is spectacular. It's a platinum hit, multi-platinum, I'd argue. And when more than 8 million Americans have been signed up on the marketplace, and a significant percentage of those are younger Americans, the so-called invincibles, who many argued would never sign up, along with the many other benefits that the president referred to that millions of Americans now have that would not be available to them if the GOP got its way on repeal. This is something that progressive Democrats should embrace because it's good for the American people.
And people need to keep coming at him because right after the press conference today the president had, they didn't miss a beat. The right wing was right out there immediately attacking. Watch this.
Is the Census Bureau deliberately trying to make it tougher to criticize Obamacare?
Back in 2009, under the leadership of then White House Chief of Staff Rahm Emanuel, the Census Bureau was brought under the direct influence and direct control of the White House. So now that has become a pretty well politicized organization.
The number is going to go down because the regime is massaging the data. They are changing the questions that they ask people here to rig the results. And if you don't like it, you are a racist.
It's sort of like me telegraphing to my parents, I'm going to have straight F's on my report card. And I have a couple of D's and C's. They're thinking I'm Mensa material. But the fact of the matter is it's still a pathetic card.
So the question is, are they incompetent or are they disingenuous? Neither one of those is a good thing, quite frankly.
So the last two you see was after the press conference. The others showed how they've been building up these conspiracy theories, and even in the face of evidence that is working, 8 million people, 35% under 35, I mean, they still are in complete denial.
Well, there's a lot of denial syndrome going on Capitol Hill right now that I've witnessed over the last couple of years. One thing that's interesting, climate change is denied, even though that's a scientific reality. Yeah. They deny the fact that defaulting on our debt would be problematic and catastrophic for the American economy, and they're denying the fact that the Affordable Care Act has turned into a smashing success, notwithstanding the empirical evidence, because they've boxed themselves into a corner. They said this was going to result in doom and gloom for the American people, but the American people have embraced it in spectacular numbers, and it's benefiting tens of millions of Americans beyond those who have signed up on the marketplace because of the pre-existing condition ban and other aspects of the law. And so they have nothing left but to argue this conspiracy theory that the books are being cooked, but that's going to collapse like a house of cards, and the Affordable Care Act will continue its trajectory toward the smashing success that it is on its way toward becoming.
All right, that is Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, collapsed like a house of cards. Us Brooklyn guys have a way with words. Thank you for your time tonight.
Thank you, Rev.